Welcome to Fandom Family Chats. I'm your host, Maureen, and today we are joined with Jeanette.
Hey, guys.
And Amanda.
Hello.
And our silent participant tonight is Shelby. And we are talking episodes 1 and 2 of Bridgerton. This is your Sunday night current shows. Now, what our plan is for Bridgerton is we're going to take a couple episodes throughout the summer, hoping that'll provide us enough time until we get the second season out. But if not, I mean, there's way more that we can talk about beyond that. So we are going to talk meeting the Bridgertons. We're going to talk meeting the Featheringtons, which, I mean, how much do you love those names?
I love them.
Those names are awesome.
Love them.
So we're going to talk meeting them. We're going to talk meeting Mr.
The Duke.
Diamond, who I know Jeanette is going to be very excited to discuss.
Absolutely.
Pretty sure he's the whole reason that you're excited to be on here tonight.
Well, ironically, he is not my favorite.
Really?
Anthony.
It's because,
And Benedict.
Well, no, Benedict is my favorite, but I also love Anthony's spice. And I wouldn't have said that until I read his book.
Same.
Whole new ball game. Whole new ball game.
Is he dirtier in the book?
It's not like dirty. I don't know how to describe it. He's a lot more likable just in general, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely he's going to be able to hold the season like Simon did. I think I have full confidence in him.
I do too.
It's gonna be good.
Is he the next book?
Yes.
So is that,
Yes.
Do we have any confirmation yet what season 2 and 3 or season 2 is going to be about?
It's about him. It's based on his book, so it'll be about him and Kate, which is his love interest, who is my favorite character in the series that I've read so far. So she's awesome.
I love
her
too.
She's not that actress, is she? Because I know that we see the actress in this first episode, but I can't remember the actress's name.
No, because
No.
that is Sienna, and she's actually not in the books at all. So she
Oh.
was just written in for the show.
Yeah.
I mean,
Give Anthony some spice.
there's probably a Sienna type character in Anthony's life because he's definitely a rake, as they call him, and he gets around. And I'm sure there's been a Sienna, but she's not actually in the book.
Yeah. Where she's never named.
Right.
He who shall not be named.
No, I'm really excited for season 2.
Me too.
I loved Anthony's book.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
And as I
also
go
love
back-
Benedict too.
Benedict's book was my favorite. It's a little more romantic, I think, in a traditional type of romance.
It's like a Cinderella story.
It's basically the Cinderella story, and he's sweet, and I don't know. I've always loved him though, even from the series, even though he didn't get a lot of screen time, there was something about him that I was really drawn to.
Anthony?
So no, Benedict.
Oh, I was going to say Anthony had a lot of screen time.
No, Benedict. And I don't know. I didn't like Anthony, honestly, when I first watched the show. I was like, ugh, what about this guy?
Not in the
And then
first
I read
few
his-
episodes.
And then I read his story and I was like, I take it all back. I love him. I do.
Well, let's talk through who the Bridgertons are.
Okay.
Okay, we have the oldest is Anthony. I actually looked up their ages so I could, because when I see them all together, they all look so close in age that it's hard for me to remember. And as I was going over the list, I was like, I don't remember this one girl. Why don't I remember this girl? Has it been that long? And then I'm like,
is it
back?
Francesca?
Yeah.
It's because she's not in it.
I know.
Mhm. Yeah.
So there's Anthony, who's the oldest. He's 28.
Mhm.
And he is the wayward guy. He's the one who has the lover she's an actress, but also an opera singer, right? Because she sings.
Yeah.
She's an opera singer.
Yeah. And he's neglecting his family duties to do what he wants to do. And then we have Benedict, who's the second son. He's the second oldest. He's 27. He is, and I was reading one description of him and said, second sons have all the fun. And you can see how he pursues his art. And I can't remember if he's pursuing his art in the first and second episodes because I binge watched, I think 6 in a row at one time.
He's not.
So,
They kind of mention,
Yeah.
but we don't see what he wants to do. They just kind of mention in a conversation with Eloise that he wants to do more than what's expected of him.
and we do see him sort of picking up a sketchbook in the first couple.
Yeah, I think we do see that. Yeah.
And then we have Colin, who I'm really endeared to Colin. I think he's so sweet.
Colin's sweet. He is.
He is the third oldest, and he is 22. And then he is the one who wants adventure. He wants to travel. He wants to go do all the things at all the places and see all the things. And then we have Daphne, who is the fourth oldest at 21, who is the diamond. of the season. But I think what's interesting about her is that she is really beautiful, obviously, that she had to be beautiful to be this role. But there's also, even though she seems very innocent and she is innocent and naive, but there's also this sort of mystery to her, which is really endearing.
Yeah, I would agree.
So she's the debutante. This is her first season out, so it's a big deal. First daughter, first season. She's kind of the prize in her family for this whole first season, really, because the whole first season is really about her debutante season and Anthony taking over or neglecting his duties. And then we have Eloise, who I absolutely love, who is the fourth oldest at 21, who has zero desire to be married, zero desire to have kids, and is kind of the rebel, but she's a rebel out of fear, which is interesting. I think that's an interesting dynamic.
How old is she?
She is 17. Eloise is 17. And then Francesca, who is the third oldest, is 16, who is in Bath. I think she's only in one episode the whole season, isn't she?
I think she's in the first episode, and then I think she comes back for maybe the last one, but that's it, I think.
See, I didn't remember her from the first episode. I remembered her from her other appearance.
Yeah, she's there in the first episode.
Does she go to Bath in the first episode?
They talk about it in the second episode, how she's going to miss all of this because she's away, but they don't say it till she's already gone.
Do the books say why she goes?
I haven't gotten to her book yet, but it mentions that she's away, like maybe to school or something. Okay. I think that's right. Is that right, Amanda? I don't know. Yeah,
she's in boarding school.
That's right.
Okay. And then we have Gregory, who is the second youngest. He's 12. And we have Hyacinth, who I also really love. She's got some good one-liners in this season. She's 10.
She's feisty. We like her.
I like her a lot.
I like it when they're at the dinner table and she goes, and he's like, I'm older. She's like, well, I'm taller.
Yeah.
That was the first episode.
The description I have between Gregory and Hyacinth is very close. And then I don't have a note for Gregory, but I have for Hyacinth, verbally mischievous.
Absolutely.
I love that about her.
You can tell she's a baby. Yeah, I think it'll be strange to read their books.
I know,
because they're children. So those will be the two that I think I'll struggle with. I mean, obviously they won't be children by the time I get to their book, but I'm still going to be picturing in my head them as children. So that's going to be hard, I think.
Yeah, it will be.
So
I've slowed down.
The books don't all sit in the same year.
No,
right? It gets progressively older.
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure about that because I was trying to figure that out when everyone said that everyone had a different book, but
Collins, Eloise, and Francesca's all sort of happen about the same time. So people are actually speculating if season 4 will be able to encompass all three of them at once.
I don't think they should.
I don't want them to either, but I don't know. I'm afraid that it won't make it. Like, I'm afraid that it'll get canceled maybe before we get to Francesca's, and I've heard that Francesca's book is one of the best ones.
Really?
I've heard the same thing.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
I'll report. I guess we'll report back.
Well, it's named When He Was Wicked, so it might be just a really entertaining read. Yeah. I don't know that for sure. I have them. I've started Eloise's book, so I'm close, but I haven't read it in a while. I haven't had time. So
I don't have the same desires for season 2 as you guys do, exactly, because I'm hoping for less fast forwardable material. And I know that you guys are not.
I'm afraid that may not happen in Anthony's season.
I know.
We'll see, but it's not looking good.
That was also my fear.
Now, season 3, you might be able to fast forward through more. I don't feel like there's as much in Benedict's.
Yeah.
And there's not as much in Colin's book. But Colin was surprising.
Colin is proper. Really?
It surprised me, to be honest with you. Have you read his, Amanda, yet?
I'm on his right now.
Okay. It surprised me. I was like, oh, okay.
Shelby, where are you?
I'm slow. I'm still on
Anthony.
Okay.
How far are you into it?
Still the same place that I was when I was talking to Patty. I get so mad because every time I try to do it, I get distracted or I get called or one of the dogs is acting up
Yeah.
or something happens. So I'm hoping that when I'm a stay-at-home doggy mom and grandma's not here anymore, I'll be able to read more.
There you go.
Okay, so in the first season or first episode, we see Queen Charlotte, who she's another character I love.
She's
Oh, yeah.
also not in the books.
Oh,
No.
really?
Throwing that out there. Yeah, she's not in the book at all.
That seems like a detriment because she's phenomenal.
She is.
I love her.
Yeah.
She's
No,
getting a spin-off, isn't she?
Yes.
Yes.
And so
I haven't seen too much about it, but I know
Oh, spin-off?
I've heard.
Yeah, I think so.
So she's the one who calls Daphne the diamond.
Diamond of the First Water.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's when we see, and I think that's when I realized how the mysterious aspect of Daphne's character.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's got this, I mean, when she comes from a very upstanding family, she looks very innocent, she looks very virginal, and she is all of those things. But there's just something that in her expressions that just feels hidden. And you can, when you see her inside her house, when she talks to her siblings, when she talks to her friends, you can see it because she's someone who has her own mind.
Yeah.
She's someone who she knows what she wants. And that's seen in the first couple episodes when she convinces Simon to do this fake relationship. You can see that she is a woman who is not like your average woman. She knows what she wants. She has opinions. She's going to share them. But in public, she kind of hides that. So there's this almost like this come hither look in her eyes because I don't want to say she's tricking anybody because I don't think she is. But you just get that deeper sense of something else in her, which is very appealing to the people around her.
Yeah, I just think she's really determined. Like she knows what she wants and she's determined to get it.
And she has that beautiful example of her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And the other family we see in this scene is the Featheringtons. My note just says those clothes with a bunch of exclamation points. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
ugh.
And they all matched.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah. It's terrible.
And
And
I
poor
love how
Penelope,
much
you know?
Penelope hates it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She hates it so much.
She's a redhead who's always in yellow. That's
Yeah.
just mean. Because you don't
So
want to
horrible.
be married.
Yep.
Reading the first half of her book so far is just cracking me up.
She
I'm
is
totally in love with her.
She's the best. I mean,
Oh.
yeah, I love her. I love her a lot.
Since we're only talking about the first two episodes, I'm not going to say in detail about this. But from episode 2, I knew she was who she ends up being.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea.
But
I
I
didn't
also
know
had the
until
advantage
the
of
end.
watching 6 of them all at once consecutively,
Yeah,
and then picking up and watching the last 3? I think
just
Only
2
9?
because there's only 8.
there's
There's
8.
only 8. Yeah.
So and I watched the next 2 the next day. So I had the benefit, I think, of seeing it all in quick succession.
Yeah.
So
I
maybe
mean, I
that's
did
why.
too, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was her.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I thought, okay, so this might sound stupid, but I kind of had my suspicion because her nickname is Pen, and I thought that it was a clue.
I mean, that makes sense.
You have your cruel summer hat
Yep.
on right now.
Right?
All your mystery.
I didn't think it was her because of just all the things that gets said about her. And I guess that's part of the thing. I mean, because I think that's even a surprise in her book when it's revealed that they're like, why would you write all these things about yourself? You know, I mean, so it's just surprising, I thought.
I feel
Well, in
like
the
she's really
movies-
depressed.
In the movies, it's a lot more about her family than herself, isn't it?
Well, they mention her and her, I don't know, it's a lot about, I mean, I think they even mention like the ugly dresses and like things like that. So, but maybe
that's
it's
how
just
she
one of
feels
those.
about those dresses.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I think she figured if she just complained about him enough and whistled down.
Yes.
right. Maybe.
And I think too, what really cemented it for me was when she announced what was going on with her cousin.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because Colin was interested in the cousin, and Penelope was clearly interested in Colin, and she had no other way to get him away from her. And so she came out with that.
Yep.
And that
Yeah.
cemented it for me, like, oh, yep, that's who that is.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
to the Featheringtons, I mean, it's not just the clothes. and the obnoxious colors, because I mean, pick a different color palette for God's sake. It's all green and yellow. They're all
Yeah.
redheads. Like, how do you
orange.
think this looks good together? I don't understand.
I know, it's so crazy.
And even the fake French clothing designer, is a modiste.
The modiste.
Even she says, I got some rather extravagant fabrics from another company. So even she knows, man, these are ugly.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's not only that, it's Penelope, Philippa, Prudence,
Prudence.
and Portia. Like, how
Yep.
mean are you to your kids? Like,
Oh, so mean.
what?
I keep mentioning the book. Ironically, there is another daughter named Felicity
Really?
It is.
that is, she's the youngest, which I'm like, that doesn't even fit because why is her name Felicity?
The only
But-
F-name kid?
Yep.
Or did they spell it PH?
No,
No, it's with an F.
it's
Yeah.
with an F. Yeah.
So she just hates her older 3 daughters?
Apparently. Oh, yeah, because I mean, Felicity's really supposed to be beautiful, right? And she's
Yeah. She's like the prize child.
Yeah.
But she's young. I can't remember.
she's
Oh.
Hyacinth's age
Oh,
Is she?
okay.
because they're friends. Mhm.
That's right.
So let's talk about
Right.
their cousin for a bit.
Yeah.
Marina.
Okay.
Marina.
So she comes and she's beautiful and she's the start of the season. But I mean, were you guys shocked by the pregnancy thing or no?
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
I mean, I didn't expect that at all, honestly.
What did you think of her when you first
I
saw
didn't.
her?
You know what? I liked her at first. I really thought she was going to be another kind of Eloise type that just kind of goes against the standards. Of course, when we find out that she's pregnant, and that part's not even a big deal. When she goes after Colin, my whole opinion of her changed. And I don't like her very much after that. But at first I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At first, I thought she was going to be Daphne's competition,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
really, for the season. And I was
And
like,
she kinda
okay, I
was.
think that's where they're going with the storyline. And she kind of was. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Daphne still won, obviously.
Right.
But
Well, because she's Daphne.
Mm.
And because Lady W didn't like Marina after a while.
Yeah.
I mean, who did?
But I think that you could see that she was, when she first arrived, I think you could kind of see the damage in her.
Yeah, that's true.
She clearly didn't want to be there. There was clearly something else that was on her mind that was weighing her down, and she just looked damaged. And I think that was
Yeah.
probably, sadly enough, I think that was endearing to some of the men who had like the savior complex of, ooh, she's beautiful and I could make her better, and sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that Penelope with her, you see really the mettle of Penelope when she's with Marina. And I love how her and Eloise are trying to figure out how to not catch being pregnant.
How does one come or to be with child? She asked. Right? I love Eloise. And then the brothers are so funny, but Nick's like, I'm not touching that. And what is Colin? Have you ever been to a farm? I just watched this today. Oh, so funny.
They're all giggling.
Even when she
Yeah.
finds out she's pregnant, Penelope just shows her such compassion and empathy. And even after she finds out she's pregnant. And I get why Marina did what she did with Colin, because Lacey
Get it.
Featherington was shoving someone super, super crazy inappropriate on her. And Colin was it. So it's not like she pursued Colin necessarily. Colin pursued her.
Yeah.
And then she was like, okay, hey, it's either this really, really, really horrifically old guy who I can't, or
Yeah.
this guy who's interested in me. And
Yeah.
I had more compassion with her because I get what it was like in that time where if you were pregnant, done.
I just sort of wish she had recognized the kind of person that Colin was.
Yeah,
and that if
absolutely.
she had been honest with him,
Mhm.
I think he would have married her anyways.
I agree with you there.
I do too.
And so that bothered me because I mean, he's a good guy, and I think he would. I mean, granted, I didn't want that to happen because obviously I want him with Penn, but I don't know. I just wish he had shown her so much compassion and just been so nice to her, and she was going to totally ruin him, and lie to him. So,
But there was
I
also
get
a very real fear for women then that what if
True.
she told him, and then instead of being compassionate, because it was hard, she didn't know any of these people.
yeah,
It must have been really hard to go to this place where she knew no one, knowing that she was probably pregnant. I mean, that's why she looked so damaged, is because she was worried if she was pregnant or not. and then to go to this place where you knew no one, you don't know their character, you know what everyone's saying about everyone, but everyone's backstabbing everyone else, and it's nothing but gossip and lies. You don't really know if this compassion is real or if it's feigned. And
Yeah.
so being kind to her, is it because he wants to marry me and he thinks I'm beautiful, or is it because this is really who he is? If I tell him I'm pregnant, is he gonna leave me and tell everyone else so I have no prospects? Or is he gonna stay compassionate and stay with me?
Right. No, I agree.
But I do wish she would have told him. I do wish she
Yeah.
would have just known in her gut who Colin, because I love Colin. He's just so
Yeah.
and you
He's
know,
so sweet.
did he
Yeah,
try
he-
to after?
Well, I don't know if he tried to, but he told her, he said, if you had just been honest, I would have just went along with it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. That's
yeah.
I hate that part of it. And
Yeah.
I hate that. I mean, she oh, that's way ahead of time. Never mind.
Yeah.
We're gonna start talking about the entire series if I keep going up there.
I know. It's hard to not, but yeah.
So let's hit on Anthony a bit. When his mom convinces, by the way, mom's name is Violet.
Yes.
I don't want to call her
Lady
Bridgerton
Violet.
Same the whole time. So I'm going to call her just Violet.
Okay.
But she convinces Anthony to take responsibility. But the thing that bugged me so much is, why Nigel Burbrook? Like, great, you're taking responsibility. Do you really have to take the very first guy who gives you an offer? Like, really? The queen calls her a diamond and you have to take the first old nasty dude to give you an offer? I just...
He was so out of touch with just all of it. And I don't know why. I mean, he had a problem with everyone else. And then you don't have a problem with Nigel Burbrook?
Yes.
I mean, so strange. I mean, I don't know. This is why Anthony made me so mad until, like way later on. Because I was just like, what are you doing?
And I think too, like in episode 2, the note I have of, when they're down by the river and Nigel Burbrook comes storming down there with those papers.
Yeah.
And he basically says, I think he actually says the line, I have a Bridgerton. Doesn't he say something like that? And I just really wanted to punch him in the other eye. Like,
he's terrible.
The girl already hit you. The Duke knows she hit you. The Duke knows who you are and he's protecting her. Clearly he's protecting her. He
had already beat the crap out of him too. This is why he's all like,
yes.
Yeah.
So he's not only gross and old and manipulative and arrogant, he's also incredibly stupid to think that this is actually going to fall. Like, what had to go that? I know they're fictional characters. I feel like I have to say that every time. But what had to have been going on in that character's head that he thought, I still have a chance here? Like, really, man? You don't
maybe
see that
desperation.
The Duke and Anthony are friends, and that the Duke is clearly protecting his sister. Like, that dude was gross, though.
Gross.
Kudos to that actor because you played him disgustingly.
He really did.
I did not like him at all.
No, and I didn't like his mother either. She was just as bad.
Oh,
she was a nightmare. So I mean, I guess
God.
you can kind of figure out why he is the way he is if you look at his parentage, but I think he was way worse than his mom. So I don't know how he got there. What was the piece of gossip that the mom and the women shared?
That he had fathered a child with one of his maids, and they had sent her off.
Didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
It was true.
And I loved that they got, all the maids because they were like, the help here's everything.
Oh, that's
and they
right.
got them,
right. Yep.
Yeah, they got them. That's why they invited the mother over for tea so that their maids could talk to her maids and find out the gossip.
I love.
And they just spread it around town. What'd she say? We'll do what women do. We'll talk.
I did. Their staff though at the Bridgerton house they're awesome. I love them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they had the best house.
That's because they were decent people who were kind to the people around them and to their staff, and they had a loving relationship that was leading the household, which correlated to loving children who was kind to their staff.
Right.
I mean, that's
and
like
you see
jackpot home in that time period.
Oh yeah, because you see that whenever they have the Duke over for dinner, and Violet, he says like he talks about how they're all there at the table together, and she's like, I know this isn't normal, but we like each other, and I mean that's probably just really uncommon. Of course, it's funny that they like each other, but all around the table, everybody's fighting and doing different stuff, but it's so real that it was.
Yes,
I loved it. Yeah,
exactly. So, okay, We've talked about Anthony, we've talked about Marina, we've talked about Featheringtons, and we've talked about the Bridgertons. Can we talk about the Duke now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how about let's start with Lady Danbury, and that will
Okay.
kind of lead it
I
into.
love that woman.
She's the
I
best.
did too.
That was my note on hers. I love her.
Yeah.
I love her so much. And one of my favorite lines from episode 1 is when Simon says, "I'll have to give my regards for the ball tonight." And she just looks at him.
Your regards are. I just wrote this down. I'm pretty sure because I watched
Your
it.
regards are denied.
Yes. She's just like, no. Yeah.
You're coming. I was like,
I love it.
it just shows that right there. Just immediately shows you the mom role that she's has stepped in.
Yeah. And I know that we're mixing 1 and 2 together, but I think that's okay. I think most people who are watching this have seen it. So I want to talk to that aspect a little bit, which happens in the opening of season or episode 2, when they're showing the backstory of Simon and his mom. And first of all, absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I mean, that dad, I have so many inappropriate words for that man. To watch her give birth and then take the son away, not even care that she's dying quickly.
She didn't get to hold her child before she died. Yeah. She didn't get to see him.
She did all the work. He refused to even accept that she was doing work. He refused to do anything whatsoever. He immediately took the son, hoisted him up to his friends, and then left her in there. And he generally didn't care if she died or not, because she gave him a son. She was done as far as he was concerned. He didn't need anybody else. Yeah. But that shows Lady Danbury's mettle right there too, because she got right in his face and told him exactly what kind of person he was. And then I love when they, I mean, it was still a horrifically sad moment, but when she went to Simon's mom's side as she died, and it was just so horrifically sad. But that she got to be there in her last moments and comfort her when nothing, I mean, she was dying and she knew it, and she couldn't see her only kid.
Yeah.
I can't, as a mom, I can't imagine that kind of heartbreak. I can't.
No.
Because she
and also
that child.
When you're also probably thinking, I mean, she knows who her husband is, and here you are dying, and this is what you're leaving your child with. It's awful.
And for his dad to turn him away because of a stutter that is correctable, when he showed so many other signs of intelligence in other areas. And even if he didn't, I mean, it's
still your child. Yeah, you should. Yeah.
If you're so worried about appearances, hire people to help him with the way he speaks.
Yeah.
But he couldn't even justify spending money on that because he's too stupid. I wanted to kill that man in 40 different ways. But Lady Danbury showed up, and I can't remember. Amanda, if you could look it up, that would be great. When she shows up to talk to Simon, and he's I don't know, he's like 5 or 6, and she asked him how his studies are going, and she got in his face. Yeah. Because it was fixable with Simon. Shelby just asked if a stutter was fixable back then. It was with tutoring. I mean, they didn't really know, hey, this is fixable, but stuttering was usually a sign of you're an idiot, you're an imbecile, you have a mental disorder. So you would typically send them away to go be taught. And they had usually the governesses and the people there were really, really strict. And often unfortunately back then, they often used physical ways to teach you, to kind of beat the stutter out of you, which a lot of times that made it worse because, I mean, you're stuttering for a reason, and then you start getting beat, you're going to do it more. But oftentimes, if you were trained hard enough, if you were trained well enough, rather, you could come out of it without a stutter. And I think Simon still, when he got worked up, I think wasn't there a scene where he got really worked up and it came out a little bit?
There is. Yeah. It's what is that scene? It's something him and Daphne are having some sort of, or something, right? Yeah.
It's at like a luncheon or something.
Because that's when I mean, typically people with a stutter, when you get really nervous is when it's going to show more than anything,
or really
mad
deep in emotion.
Yeah. But are you talking about what Lady Danbury tells him about commanding a room when he?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact words, but she said she would help him or whatever, but that he had to promise to be worthy of the. What is she? I don't know. Amanda's looking it up. I think I don't want to say it wrong, but it's close to it. Something about being worthy of the attention he was going to get.
Yeah. And I don't know, it was just so brilliantly done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking up what Lady Danbury said to him, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like when they're debating how many balls he has to go to with her. 8 balls. No, 8 balls.
And a picnic. She gets all that.
And then he said, I shall grant you 4, 6 balls, 5, 6, and you must send flowers today.
Expensive ones.
If you were truly courting me, you'd buy every florist in town.
The next line is one of my
I'm
favorites,
reading
though.
along with you.
Yeah.
What is it? No, what does he say back though?
If
That's
I were
my
truly
favorite.
courting you, I would not need flowers. Only 5 minutes alone with you in the
Alone in
drawing room.
room.
I did not mean 6 balls, Your Grace. Very well.
He had to give it up then because he was like, "Oh God, what did I say?" He delivers those lines so perfectly. Like I can remember that moment. I was like, "Oh," that was like the first moment. I was like, "It's getting a little warm in here."
Oh, did you find it? Okay.
I think you passed it.
I probably did.
She said, I'm just going to read the whole thing because it's a good speech. She said, not once seen in London, no news of your education, not a word about you from your father, yet here you are alive and breathing. She tells him to stand up and look at you. And then she said, your mother would weep to know her dearest friend was a stranger to her son. Tells him he looked just like her, saying it's good. And then she said, have you learned to read, to write a horse defense? Then why ever you were not in school? And then he says, I cannot speak. And then she says, when I was a girl some centuries ago, I was afraid of even my own reflection. I entered a room and attempted to dissolve into the shadows, but there's only so long one in a position such as ours can hide. I knew I would have to step into the light someday, and I could not very well be frightened. So instead, I made myself frightening. I sharpened my wit, my wardrobe, and my eye, and I made myself the most terrifying creature in any room I entered. And then she said, come, you can speak. I understood you well enough, and I will help you to overcome this stammer of yours. But in exchange, you must promise me that when you step into the light, you will be worthy of the attention you command. I don't know. I love that speech. I think it's so good.
Mm-hmm. And he did.
That one is a really good one.
Because he's one of those, as soon as he walks in the room, all eyes are on him.
Yeah.
So, he definitely accomplished that.
And it wasn't a shame thing. It was, I know this is hard. I know this is scary. And I know that there are things to fear, but you need to show them that you are worthy. And so I think she didn't outright say you are worthy of all this, but she was subtly saying that to him. And I think that he was smart enough to get that
mm-hmm.
I am worthy of affection, of attention, of something. Of course, he doesn't want it later on in life, but that's because he made a vow to his dad. But yeah, Lady Danbury was the first person ever, and that's why she can talk in the way she does. That's why, and it's not just because she raised him as a mother. I think it's because she was the first person, and really the only person, to give him value just because he was him.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was the only person to ever do that. Anthony maybe a little bit, but boys will be boys, so it's not really like he gave him a whole lot of validation of his worth. Lady Danbury ensured that he knew that he had purpose, that he had meaning, and that he was worth living.
Mm-hmm.
Where all he'd ever known was that he was worth death.
Yeah. I love her.
I love that woman. I think she's awesome.
I love her.
I do too.
And I love how. Okay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I love not just her interactions with Simon, just her interactions. Like she says, she makes herself frightening. Because even like when she walks up, all the Bridgerton boys like try to scramble away as fast as they can. And that comes back a lot in the books. They're constantly trying to get away from her because they know she's going to just tell them like it is.
Yep.
Or, convince them to do something that they don't really want to do. And it's just so funny. She walks up, walks up, says too late or something like, basically I'm already here. Like,
oh yeah. I love her in the books.
Yeah,
she's pretty better in the books than she is.
She is, and she's really, and this is probably why even though Colin wasn't my favorite Bridgerton boy, his book is one of my favorites because it's really Penelope heavy, really Eloise heavy, and really Lady Danbury heavy. So it's got like 3 of the best in there. So I was pleasantly surprised with his book.
Yeah. I also don't want to, because I know we're going to jump into Simon and Daphne.
We got a lot of other stuff to cover too, so go ahead.
I also want to hit on Anthony and Daphne's friendship relationship.
Yeah.
Because they crack me up.
Yeah.
When those guys are trying to come in and he's batting them all off one by one. You're sitting.
She's like, I don't understand. I know I don't understand exactly what he was doing other than maybe the whole no one is good enough for her. But then
No,
you
I think-
settled with Burbrook, so I just don't
I
get
think it was because
like,
he already made a guarantee to Burbrook.
yeah.
Trying to be responsible. He's
But-
like, no, I'm the head of this family. I made a decision, and that's the decision that we're going with because that's the one I already agreed to, and that's the decision we have.
But even before that, at that first ball, I mean, every guy that tried to talk to her, there was something wrong with them.
Yeah.
You know, this one had gambling debt, or this one, I mean, it was everything. There was something wrong with every one of them, and he just wasn't letting anybody in.
I think he partly also kind of thought that because Burbrook was older, that
Yeah.
he had money still, a fair amount of money, and that he was relatively unknown to Anthony meant that he wasn't seedy because Anthony
Yeah,
was a little
that's true.
seedy. So
Right.
he knew all the other guys because they were hanging around Anthony, and Anthony
Yeah.
was very well aware of his own character.
Yeah. He was.
That's one thing I like about Anthony. Is he's got no bones about who he is. He knows.
No.
He knows
Yeah.
the kind of dude he is.
I don't know.
And I love Violet and Anthony because I mean, she knows who he is too.
Yeah.
I mean, just that first scene, which is so hilarious when she's like, you know, asking, you know, Benedict, where's your brother? And he was like, I do not know. And then it clicks, you know, obviously shifts over to where he is.
Yeah.
And Benedict knew exactly where he was, you know, and she did too, you know, but she was just, I don't know. I thought it was really funny.
And she's the only one who can convince Anthony too to stop being the way he was and to take responsibility. But I think the way she issued it was probably not the best to do it because Anthony swung in the really opposite direction. He went hard and as far away from who he was as possible. Like he went hard in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Even when Colin asked, I'm pretty sure this is later on, but even when Colin asked, you know, for permission, whatever, Anthony was like, no, I'm the head. No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it takes him a while to come out of that. But the other thing, too, is that I wonder with Anthony and Daphne, how close they are. Part of me was wondering because of how he had changed and who he was transforming himself into. And obviously, that's not who he really was. We can see that later on in the season, but he felt like he had to be this person.
Yeah.
There was someone who described him as the father knows best, Anthony.
Yeah.
But I wonder how he would have reacted if he would have reacted poorly to the plan between Simon and Daphne. And maybe he would have been less aggressive about Simon because he knew this isn't really what's happening here.
I think he might have. Although Anthony's the type that since it wasn't his idea, I'm not sure that he would have been along with it.
Yeah.
You know, but
I think he would have been less aggressive towards Simon.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So I don't know, but I agree with you though that he was becoming sort of a different kind of guy in that moment. That if it wasn't his, I mean, we see that with Lord Burbrook. Obviously, that was the dumbest choice of all the suitors he could have made, and he held firm to that. Like, I don't get why you're standing on this hill. It doesn't make any sense.
I did love how protective he got when he was told what Burbrook had done. I mean, just the look on his face was like, "You did what to my sister?"
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like a complete shift, and I really like protected Anthony like that.
But I think that was a return to who he was too.
Yeah.
Because when he was allowed to be a Lothario, he was more aware of the needs of his sister, I think.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't so focused on, I don't know if he was really built to be the head of a house that size. Because he wasn't, when he was being Lothario, he wasn't focused on the accounts or on doing what was right or on making all the decisions or on doing all this stuff. He could see better when he was with another girl.
Yeah.
I feel like in the books he wasn't as much like that.
No, he's not quite. I don't know. I haven't read The Duke and I, so I don't know. I skipped right over that one because I'd already seen the first season, and I just
I didn't either.
Didn't want to go backwards, but I kind of want to.
Duke and I, all of what we have in the first season.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the first book. Each season is supposed to be, from what we know, a book.
Okay.
So it'll be the first book was Daphne, the second book was Anthony, and then so on and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Duke and I is different than what we see in the show though, because Patty was telling us that in the group chat.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
She said there's some pretty big differences.
Oh, is there? So Daphne and Simon, when they first hatched this scheme, Lady, I always call her Lady W because I cannot remember what her name is. It's Whistledown, right?
Whistledown.
Whistledown. She is a thorn in both of their sides because she draws attention to them in the worst possible way. And I love that Penn is solely responsible well, not solely, but she's mostly responsible for Daphne and Simon getting together because she has the potential to disrupt both of their plans. She's gonna kind of entice everyone to go towards Simon, and she's also gonna make Daphne less appealing by sharing some things that she knows. Now, what is the thing that Anthony did that stopped her from sharing Daphne in the garden? Because there was something that Anthony did that took the heat off of Daphne, and it was just like, well, that was sheer luck that happened. Wasn't there?
I don't remember.
I feel like it was the night after that when she was in the garden and they were talking about it at home, and Anthony had said that he had done something, and that was the only reason that, because there was something more salacious to report on. There's
Why
something
do I
that
not
happened
remember
at
that?
ball.
I don't remember.
It sounds familiar. But
And I
don't
also,
remember.
because I couldn't remember what it was, and then I started looking through synopsises, and it also said that Anthony did, because I didn't remember it was Anthony until I read the synopsis, and it said, but Anthony did something worse. But I don't remember what it was.
What did Anthony do?
I remember the conversation at home afterwards, because she was obviously horrified that she was in a garden with this dude alone. Oh, it was that Anthony scared everyone away. So then it was Anthony's fault, I guess.
Okay. That makes sense.
But I thought she didn't report on it, but I guess she did. That Lady Whistledown has called her ineligible and blames it on her brother after scaring everyone away. So really the article is about Anthony. And I think, that's why I think he allows Burbrook at first, because I think, no, because that happened, Burbrook was first. I think it was just that Anthony scared everyone away is what I'm reading.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And then wasn't she in the garden with the Duke alone right after that? Or it started with the Duke, and then what's his face came out and threatened her, right?
Nigel.
Yeah.
It started with Nigel.
It started with Nigel and then Simon.
He walked up on it, gonna protect her, but she had already punched him in the face. So,
and I love that about Simon too, that he was gonna protect her without even being connected to her other than through her brother.
Yeah, he's just a good guy.
Exactly. And I think that because he's a rake, people think, and he's not a rake for rake's sake is the thing too. And we can see that episode 2 when he makes that vow to his dad, that he's a rake out of loneliness, and he has zero hope for his lifetime. There's going to be anything other than loneliness.
Well, what does Violet say? That a reformed rake makes the best husband?
Yep.
And I guess that's implying that Edmund was a bit of a rake himself, maybe before she met him.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because they're passionate and they are devoted to their cause. That's as intimate as I'm going to go with that statement.
They're experienced.
Yes.
They've had lots of practice.
So that's one thing I need to look up. Maybe Amanda, are you looking that up right now?
What?
Just watched all this too.
What Anthony did, or whatever happened to make her not be reported on. But I like that Simon, he stepped in as a friend to the family, of course, but there was still an attraction to between Daphne and Simon, obviously, because I think Simon's a good guy. I really genuinely think he's a good guy.
I do too.
But I also think that he wanted to protect Daphne because he's like, she's kind of a looker. So I think that there was that there too. And obviously, so I mean, this is a multi-layered beneficial relationship. There was stepping in for family, stepping in as a friend, being attractive, and also it gets all the ladies off his back.
Well, I think he was attracted to her from the first moment because she didn't know who he was, and she sort of, had this banter with him. And he's probably not used to being a duke, or even before that, being of the status he is. People probably just tell him whatever he wants to hear, and Daphne won't do that. And I think he found that really appealing.
And Daphne even pulled back a little bit at first. She wasn't enticed by him because she sort of recognized something unsavory in him, most likely because her brother is who her brother is.
Yeah.
And I think that's all. I think we talked about everything about episode 1. So I think all we have left to talk about is episode 2. Okay, so in episode 2, I want to talk about Eloise and her fear of marriage and children, because we see, I think it's towards the end of episode 2 where her and Daphne had that talk. Is it about marriage and children? And we see that her fear behind marriage is having children, and then talk about their mother's experience of having Hyacinth right after their father died, and she screamed for hours and hours, and they thought that they were also going to lose their mother, and so that experience had scarred her so much. And I love that complexity that Eloise is a rebel out of fear. That's
Mhm.
why she doesn't want to be married, because women are supposed to have babies, and your husband is going to expect you to have babies and have sex with them, and that's your job, that's your duty. If you don't do that, then you're worthless, you're useless. So her refusal of love and her refusal of marriage, I don't think is so, like, yes, she wants to go to university, she wants to do all these things, and she does kind of see children as a way to stop her from doing all these things.
Mhm.
But I think it's stems from a place of fear, and I think that education actually gives her a reason to say, no, I don't want to be married and I don't want to have love. And not that
Right.
she wants that education, but I think it gives her a reason to not say that she's desperately afraid.
Yeah, I agree.
And she even ridicules Daphne for it too, for going into the marriage mart, because it made Eloise afraid. Daphne was more, she wanted kids still. And
Mhm.
Eloise kind of mocked her for that, of, how could you want this? And I think it was more, I don't want to lose you. I think Eloise was also afraid to lose her sister to this too.
Yeah.
Anyone
But
should
then
really.
what doesn't Daphne, I like what Daphne says back to her, that even though that was like scary, I can't remember exactly, but she says, but then we wouldn't have Hyacinth, which I can't say her name. So I'm just going to, I struggle every time. But she makes the point that, they wouldn't have her if it hadn't been for all of that. And that, she's a blessing to the family and all of that. So I thought that was sweet.
And I think too, there's that element of that you see through, and I think that's masterfully done throughout the series, is that you see how they kind of highlight how little women have say over their lives, which was a very real thing back then. And I think honestly, I think if a Regency piece doesn't have that, then it's not doing it right.
Right.
And I get that this is a more modern Regency piece because of all the aspects that are not historically accurate about it. But you can't have a Regency piece without talking about the little power women had.
Oh yeah.
So Eloise resents men on top of being afraid, on top of wanting to learn. She resents men for having the freedom to go and do all these other things. And I think too that for her, it's, I'm expected to sacrifice my body, possibly my very life, so you can have a son to carry your name. What are you going to do for me? And I think she just begins to get pissed because she sees dying in childbirth was not an uncommon thing then.
No. I mean, it happened all the time.
She sees women dying. She saw her mother almost die. She hears the horrific way that women have to give birth. And then she's just frustrated and angry, partly rightly so, of, you have to give up nothing and I have to sacrifice my very life potentially just so you can have what you want. And that's what's expected of me. So I think that I think they highlighted that pretty well in Eloise. And I think the books probably did the same thing if it's modeled after the books.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even her story is, I don't know, it's an interesting one. Like I said, I've just started it, but it's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually curious what they'll do next season with her, because she shouldn't be getting involved with anyone for a while. And I don't even think she's coming out in society at the point where season 2 is. So I'm curious why they introduced that portion of it, because that's not how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what they're going to change though?
Yeah, that's true.
I'd be interested to see. But I think she's obviously, because the actress is quite a bit older. So I feel like the character of the actress is actually in her 30s.
Shut up.
Yeah. No, she is. She doesn't look it, does she?
No. And
so is Penelope.
I love her as Penelope's over 32.
Yeah. Yes. I don't think Nicola, is that how you say her, Nicola? I don't think she's as, I feel like the one that plays Eloise is a little bit older.
Just a little bit. She is.
Yeah. I knew her from Derby Girls. She didn't watch All Love, but they were Irish. And so I'm drawn to things that are Irish. But I think too, the aspect, like Eloise, I love the woman who plays Eloise. And I think she plays her perfectly. The way she affects her voice, the way she has those nervous twitches in her body so frequently. I think she does it brilliantly. I think it's awesome.
Absolutely. She's showing her. Yeah. How old is she?
31.
She's 31. Yeah.
Then Penelope's older.
Is she really?
Because Penelope was born in 1987.
Oh, 2 years old.
She's
33.
Yeah. Okay. I'm 31, so I know that. I know she's older.
She's 34 now, Shelby.
I didn't realize that.
I think the other thing that I like how they highlight the struggle of the women, and it shows the disparaging way that women are and how wrongfully they're treated, because it's the women who saved Daphne from Burbrook. It's not the men. And we see how the men tried to control and to fix and to demand and say this is how it had to be, but all they did was screw it up. And it was the women who had to come in and fix the problem and they didn't just fix the problem, they did it with such a subtlety that the only people who suffered were the villains. I mean, if Anthony were to just cut it off publicly, Daphne would have also suffered. So it was the women alone who came up with the idea to do it in such a brilliant and subtle way as to only the villain, only the one who deserved it, got the bad ending, and everyone else prospered out of it.
I love it.
And the other thing about this episode is that, I mean, obviously it deals heavily with childhood trauma and how it shapes people. And it's highlighting how women aren't in control of their lives. But I think that I like how they bring in Simon's aspect of it too, because it's not just about women in this time. Yeah. Because yes, men had the power, men had the control, and they shouldn't have. But men were taught that from a young age too. And so you see that in Simon, how he was shaped and molded to be something he hated. Even with the vow, his dad still shaped and molded him with that, because he made that vow to his father that I will never carry your name because of who you were. His dad shaped that in him. And he's not the one who raised him, Danbury is.
Right.
But his dad still shaped part of who he was and how he responded and how he acted around things.
Sadly.
So Amanda would like to talk about the music, and I second that.
Oh yeah, I was actually had a note about that.
I think it's fun.
I love it. I remember the first one I noticed, and I think it's in episode 1 at one of the balls, that it's that Maroon 5 Girl Like You. And I was sitting there listening, and I'm like, oh my God, like, is this Maroon 5? Because I guess I just hadn't paid attention to the other songs sounded familiar. But it was that one that I was like, I know this song. I love it. I just think it's really a neat little, like, I don't know, interesting little thing to throw in there.
Yep. I think I noticed Billie Eilish's first.
Okay.
I think that was the first one that actually popped out to me. The first time watching it, the second time watching, I kind of caught all of them. But no, I just love that aspect of it. I love that this show didn't just go straightly back into, that era of music and that era of costumes. I mean, they did change things to modernize it. And I think that's why we had such the success of the show, is because it wasn't boring.
Right.
Usually, I'm getting a face over here for Maureen.
Regency stuff is not boring.
But to a lot of like younger people, like I love it, but a lot of the younger people really don't, and it's getting to be a lot less popular. Can't speak for every younger person, but I know there's not as many younger people now who like that. And I feel like Bridgerton was modernized it enough to where maybe younger people will start getting more interested in that kind of, era.
Because it's hit or miss for me. Like, I enjoy Sanditon, but a lot of times I do not enjoy the Regency era stuff.
Yeah.
Maureen's going to give me a look, but I mean, it's just not my thing. So, but I like Sanditon. I loved that.
I did too. I really did too.
What, Shelby?
I only watched it one through.
I know for me, it took me a little bit to get into Bridgerton. Like, I didn't binge it. I watched it super duper slow, and the only reason that I watched it was because Jeanette was making a whole group about it.
That's how everybody
reason we watch shows.
Jeanette's our influencer. You have Instagram influencers who influence with makeup and clothing. Jeanette's our entertainment influencer.
It's all her.
I like that title.
I'm gonna change it in our email titles.
I like it. Although I like the one I already have. I forget what it said exactly, but I do like that one too.
Media consultant or something like that.
Yes, something like that. Sounds very fancy.
But I think the key to the show's success, I don't think it's just that it's modern, but I think that with a lot of Regency pieces, what you're finding today is that they're trying to keep it in Regency, but they're trying to update the language in the script to try to appeal. You can't do that. You can't do half and half. You can't try to be one thing, but put something else in there. Bridgerton's success, I think, lies in the fact that they're openly modernizing so many aspects
Yeah.
It's not just the music, and it's not just the bright, colorful costumes, the fabrics that are different, the fabrics that are outgoing and modern, but also the dialogue is not typical Regency.
Mhm.
What is typical is the social aspect and the economic aspect of it. That's all still Regency, but they aren't trying to be something else on top of being Regency. They are trying to be a modernized show about a Regency period.
Mhm.
And they don't mix those, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think that they're very upfront of what they are. Like you
Well,
can't
like
have a modern Regency without having modern music, modern clothing, modern
Mhm.
fabric, modern dialogue.
and even like the diversity in it, which is something that you don't typically see
Yep.
in like those kinds of pieces. I mean,
Black Queen was not a normal thing.
no. And I mean, we're gonna have the Middle Eastern. Is she Middle Eastern that's playing Kate next season? I don't want to say that wrong, but I think she is. Like,
I think so. I'm not
I think so.
exactly
I know.
sure.
Forgive me if I'm wrong about that. I don't want to sound ignorant on that, but I do think that she is. And I mean, just the diverse cast, I think, was just something I hadn't seen before in that sort of piece, and
Yeah.
I loved
It's not
it.
mentioned. It's not. That's what I loved about it, is it's just everything seems so normal.
Yeah.
Because it's
You
in
know,
there.
it was nice. It was nice to see. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a list of the songs that
Ooh,
were
okay.
played, the songs that were modernized for the show. So the first one is Ariana Grande's Thank You Next. This song played during episode 1 at the first ball of the season when Anthony is taking Daphne around the room and pushing off every other potential suitor.
That was the one I think that I was
That's
like,
a
why does this
perfect
sound
song.
familiar? And then I couldn't figure it out though.
The next one is Maroon 5's Girls Like You. This one is also in the first episode, the morning after Daphne's first ball. This is the one that I noticed first.
Yeah. I
This-
love Adam Levine. So that one stuck out to me.
I
It was
noticed
easy.
today. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that one too. It plays as she awaits the arrival of any interested men. The third one is Shawn Mendes, In My Blood. It
Mhm.
was the end of the second episode. This cover is what Daphne and Simon danced to while enacting their ruse as a couple.
That was
Mhm.
my other note, was that waltz. They fooled no one. Everyone saw how much they were into each other during that waltz. Everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, their
Everyone.
faces are like this. I mean, how could you? Oh,
I was
I
like, you
love that
guys,
scene.
you're being blind right now.
Mhm.
I think they knew it too. I don't think,
I think they
knew it
did.
themselves.
Nobody
wouldn't
wanted to
admit
admit it, but they definitely they knew.
I mean, it was after that episode that she started turning away other suitors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like he just runs the way he runs his hand up her back. I'm like, come on. I mean, like,
Yeah.
That's
kind of
but in that same
know.
I mean, he's telling her that he, doesn't want to have a family, and she's just told, everyone else how important that is. So, I mean, it's just probably feels like it's doomed, and there's no way
Yeah.
for them to make it work.
The third one is the fourth one is Billie Eilish's Bad Guy. In episode 3, this song is what viewers hear when Simon pretends to freak out when another man asks to dance with Daphne. I remember that one as well.
Yeah.
The next one is Celeste's Strange featuring Hilary Smith. This cover is played as Simon and Daphne consummate their marriage on their wedding night in episode 5. And then our last one is Taylor Swift's Wildest Dreams. That one's in episode 6. This cover is what is played during a montage of Daphne and Simon's private time.
With the ladder scene.
I was being proper.
I didn't say anything wrong.
appreciate
Everybody
you,
knows what the
Amanda.
ladder scene is.
And now I'm picturing the ladder scene in my head now.
Stop it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. But if you guys ever want any of those, you're in luck. You can listen to them.
On what?
This one says it's Lakeshore Records. They have released 2 soundtracks for the show, one for the covers, which you can find at It's just, I don't know. Google it, people. I'm joking. I'm so joking. It's on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, YouTube Music, or Tidal.
Hey, Deezer, we're on Deezer.
Are we?
I didn't know we were on that. I don't know. I didn't know we were on that one.
We are.
Are we on Tidal?
Huh?
Are we on Tidal?
Never heard of that one.
I haven't either. That's why I was asking.
Whatever ones we were able to sign up for, we signed up for.
Woo woo. Nope. I think that's all I got for the music part. Do you want to bounce into the costumes?
Briefly, yeah, I don't have a lot to say about them. I just like that they ouch, just pulled my hair out. I just like that they are thorough in modernizing the show by changing the color. I mean, because that kind of vibrant color, at least as far as I know, it wasn't that vibrant. It wasn't that in your face bright. It was more about muted tones because it was seen as more regal, more respectful, more it was almost like the more muted tones you had that are like deep reds were even almost a little scandalous in some instances. But if you had like royal colors like purple or blue or reds, that showed money. But lime green and bright yellow and hot pink were not really like not choices really then. And so I like that they did that. But even some of the cuts of some of the gowns, like that jacket that Lady Featherington wore, I think when they were arriving, that had the really high color, but it crossed over in front of itself. I don't think that was a real true Regency piece. I think it was inspired by Regency, but I think the way they had the crossover design and the high color, and I could be wrong. I haven't studied this out. I just watch a lot of Regency things, but again, that's not always accurate. And everything Regency I know comes from Jane Austen. I don't think that was especially common. So I like that they carry that modern theme, at least in part, to every aspect of that show. And again, I think that's where its success comes from. It's not a wholly modern show, but that they carried the modernity into every aspect in at least some way, shape, or form has made it equal parts modern, equal parts Regency. And so it's not confusing. It doesn't seem fake. It doesn't seem like it's trying too hard. And I think you see that in the clothes with the colors and even the fabrics. Everyone is wearing satin. Everyone is wearing this really expensive, shiny fabric. And not everyone wore really expensive, shiny fabric. I mean, if you're wealthy, you could afford the shinier fabrics. But even then, it wasn't all of your dresses made of that. But I feel like the Featheringtons, I feel like I didn't see a single dress of theirs that wasn't shiny.
Which is weird because towards the end is when they start running out of money.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll kind of see how that starts playing out. I don't know. I don't think we ever got that story from in the books. Did we, Jeanette?
Well, I mean,
sorry. What was that? I can cut this part out too, but hopefully my phone won't die because I just tried to unplug it and I can't hear you all hardly at all, even turned up all the way. So that won't work.
We are almost.
I think we're almost done, anyways.
Okay.
I do think he dies at the end, doesn't he? Their dad, and he leaves them a bunch of money. Or he was killed.
Who are we talking about? Sorry, like I said, I have my
Featherington.
headphones out.
Lord.
Oh yeah.
Does he?
Yeah, he doesn't. He dies, but he doesn't. There's no money.
I thought he left him a bunch of money, or did he bet it all?
He bet it all.
He bet it all. That's right.
And he lost it. And the people that he was, I guess, I don't know how all that works, but
No,
I guess
he didn't lose it to them. He rigged the thing, and then he won it all, and they found out that he rigged it, so they killed him.
I don't think they have money though.
I think
something happened.
Took it from him, but I don't think he bet it.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay.
Because he won it, and that's why he was killed, because he rigged it to win it.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah.
But that was all I wanted to say about the costumes. It's just, I think, and it's really, really pleasing to look at, especially during the ball scenes where you see all these bright colors and these shiny fabrics hitting the lights just right as they twirl around the dance floor. It's a really, really visually pleasing show to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it is.
And it seems
pretty much took the words out of my mouth. So the only thing I would add is just for this one season, there was over 7,500 costume pieces.
Shut up, really?
And they were none of them were from costume shops. All of them were made.
Wow.
Specifically for each character, for each episode, for each scene.
Probably because there's never been a show that's been this modern and yet this historical at the same time. So they had to invent their own style. And I think
they said that they stayed with the correct like silhouette
Mm-hmm.
of
They did.
the era, but
The
they did
embellishments
change
weren't
like
modern.
the embellishments, the corsets. They even changed they changed a few things like that, and they said they did that for a lot of comfort fact
Mhm.
because apparently the full corsets were not as comfortable as the half
Ooh.
corset.
But even that's a modern thing because
Yep.
they weren't concerned about women's comfort. They were concerned about women's appeal and women's shape, and that was it. That was the extent. Women didn't get to be comfortable. You
Yeah.
didn't get to breathe.
Sad.
So
Sad.
even caring
Yeah.
for their actors ended up being a modern twist.
Yep. But no, that's all I had really about it. I mean, other than what you said, you kind of hit it. I just wanted to at least mention because it was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, I will say, not to jump onto another show, my favorite costumes, surprisingly, were from Rain.
I was going to say that too.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Their costumes. I'm actually wondering in Bridgerton if the fashion will change as the books and the years go on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean,
Oh, maybe.
it's going to be getting, I mean,
Yeah.
the years go on. So I want to
Mhm.
see how the fashion will change as the seasons go on.
Well, I mean, it's Regency until I think it starts to change into the Edwardian, or is it? I don't remember if it's Edwardian or Georgian era around 1817, 1820.
Well, this
So
is,
that's when fashion will start to change.
what year is this one in? 18,
Thought it was 13.
no, it's 18.
It's 18. No, I know. 1813 is what I thought it was.
1813, you're right.
I
I
know.
was thinking it was later. I'm thinking about Vampire Diaries. My gosh. I was thinking, I still have 1864 stuck in my head because we were just talking about it last night.
Catherine.
If the books go past 7 years, well, at least even 4 years, I think we'll start to see a subtle shift in 4 years of the fashion. It's still modernized. I think they'll still keep them on. I think every year they'll change with the times, but they'll still have their own spin on it. And then by
Yeah,
1820, I think it's full Edwardian or full Georgian. I don't remember which time period is next.
Well, because Colin's book should be, I mean, like Anthony's and Benedict's are pretty much right after.
Yeah.
But
and then I think Collins has
there's a like, I feel like 5, 6 at least. I mean, there's at least that much in between.
years.
Because
Yeah, it
I feel like
jumped.
he's younger than they. I think he's younger than he's portrayed in the show too. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
so who knows how they'll do it? They're all a little bit closer in age than they are in the books.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, do we have anything else we want to say about Bridgerton 1 or 2 episodes? Because we can keep talking Bridgerton, but it's not for this episode.
Yeah, I think that's it for 1 and 2. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, if we miss anything, you guys let us know.
Yes, nicely and respectfully.
Don't yell at us because it hurts our feelings and we're very sensitive. I am.
I'm just gonna say Amanda is. All right. Well, guys, we want to thank you for listening to our Bridgerton chat. We went over episodes 1 and 2. And the next time we talk Bridgerton, we'll be going over episode 3 and 4. And I'm pretty sure we have a pretty smart audience enough to figure that out. So if you want to discuss with us what we discussed, you can find us on our Facebook group, Bridgerton. What is it?
It's Bridgerton Family Fan
Okay.
Club.
There you go. Bridgerton Family Fan Club. You can also email us at familyfanclub@gmail.com. You can find us on social media and on Instagram with basically the same handle, Family Fan Club of some sort. You can look that up on Twitter and Instagram. And we would love to hear from you. We'd like to hear feedback. And remember, the more you rate us, the more you subscribe, the more you download our episodes, the more content we can give you, the better content we can give you. We hope to give you more cast and crew interviews. Typically, not always, but typically that comes with higher ratings, higher viewership, higher downloads. So we want to be able to give that to you. We want to give the fans what they want. I personally want to talk to Anthony. So, I mean, maybe that's,
Me too.
and Simon, maybe.
Yeah, all of them.
I think Jeanette would pass out if we talked to Simon.
I might pass out if we talk to Anthony or Luke Thompson. That's Benedict. So.
So we will see you guys in a week where I'm not sure what we're talking about, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be something about one of our groups. So We'll see you guys in a week. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.